Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester, your host of the Beliefcast. Thank you for tuning in week after week. Thank you for supporting this. Also, a shout out to my sponsors. Thank you for believing in me and the things that I do here. Today on the show, I sit down with one of the fiercest competitors in the world of ninja athletics, Taylor Greene. Taylor has dedicated her life to pushing beyond limits, chasing greatness, and proving that discipline, resilience, and belief can take you places most people only dream about. From becoming the 2025 women's champion to making history as one of the most accomplished young female ninjas ever, Taylor's journey is about far more than obstacles and competition, though. It's about grit, sacrifice, and overcoming the pressure, handling setbacks, and learning how to believe in yourself when the stakes are high. A few more accomplishments. We just said, she's the 2025 Women's Ninja Champion. She earned the title of Last Woman Standing in the national finals for 2 consecutive seasons. She made history as one of the first female rookies to hit the semifinals buzzer and one of the youngest women ever to complete the national finals version of the warped wall. So, Taylor, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I mean, what a bio right there. At such a young age, you've accomplished this amazing stuff. And I'll tell you, going back to that warped wall, when I watch you guys try and do that, I don't know how you even get halfway up that wall, let alone to the top.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy sometimes.
Yeah. So, why don't we start off, Taylor? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you live, and maybe a little bit about your family.
I grew up in Colorado. I've lived here my whole life. I live just outside of Denver. So I'm Colorado native.
Nice.
I live with my parents. I have 2 younger brothers. We have 2 dogs. My whole family lives in Colorado, so I see them a lot, which is really great. But yeah.
Nice. I used to live when I was a young kid in Longmont, Colorado. You know where Longmont is?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I've got some Colorado roots there as well. So why don't we start off? Where did this fierce love for competition come from, and when did it start?
My family is incredibly competitive, like ridiculously competitive. I think it all comes from my grandma. She is like, I don't even like another level of competitive in literally whatever game we're playing or anything we're doing turns into some sort of game or competition. And so since my family all lives very close, we would spend a lot of time together. And I think that's definitely where all of us got our like love for competition from.
Nice. Yeah. Watching you compete, you put on a game face like no other. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that.
Yeah.
You are locked in, you're lasered. Yep. I mean, you're not, and I know you're having a good time, but you're not smiling. You are just focused on what to do. And I watched you obviously compete against a few of the other competitors that I've had on my show. And, it took a minute for you to get to make it to be the women's champion. The year before that, the 2024, where you didn't quite get there, how did you handle that, where you didn't quite hit the top?
I'll be honest, it was very hard for me. I took it very hard because, when it's such a big prize of, $50,000 and second place just gets nothing, it was like, it just felt like I had done so much work to get to that point and just came up a little bit short. So it was very hard for me to deal with, but I knew that if I, kept training and I just had to, work harder. And I think a big part of it was, I don't know if you've watched that, but on that obstacle or the final part, like my shoes were slipping like crazy, and that was hard for me to kind of cope with because I felt like part of it was out of my control. which was
Yeah.
hard for me to deal with as well. But I just tried to push past that and focus on next year, and that worked for me.
Yeah, I did notice it looked like your feet were slipping, and I felt for you. I'm like, man, what's going on here? And I could just tell that that was a really tough thing. But again, you bounced back, and obviously, you're a competitor, like you said, and you're going to take things kind of hard, right? Because
Yeah.
you want to win, and that's a
Mhm.
good thing, obviously. And so, how did your family support you when you didn't, after that experience where you didn't make it to the top?
Yeah, I mean, my family has always been incredibly supportive, and they just kind of helped me and was like, it's okay. You're going to have so many more chances to, win this title. This is your first time doing it. Like, they were just incredibly supportive and helping me and letting me, feel my feelings, but also helping me move on.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, that's big. I love what you just said there. Your parents allowed you to feel your feelings. I think a lot of times parents try to make things, everything's going to be fine. Don't be
Mhm.
sad, don't be angry, whatever, to try to kind of keep you from that. But it sounds like they did the opposite. They kind of let you go through it.
Yeah, my mom has always said, like, anytime I have like a hard comp, she's like, have your moment. Like, it's okay if you need to have a moment and take that time to feel the disappointment, but you can't mope in it all day and let it affect the rest of your competition or start, you know, like having a bad attitude because of it. But you can sit in your feelings for a moment and then move on.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Obviously you're very physically fit. You work out hard. I mean, you can tell you're strong, very strong.
Thank you.
I know that when I'm trying to hang from stuff, I can't even, I have so much respect for what you do beyond the physicalness that you need to have and the strength and all that. How do you prepare mentally, Taylor? Like what are some of the things you do to get your mind strong? Because you seem like a very focused person.
Something I think a lot of people don't realize about ninja is that it is incredibly mental. Like, yes, you have to be very strong, but it is a very mental sport. You have to be very focused, like you just said.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's one of my bigger strengths. A lot of other people don't necessarily have the same mental strength that I think I do, and I think that's one of the things that helps push me forward because I can be so focused and so locked in on the course and ignoring what other people are telling me and focusing on me. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really huge advantage that I have compared to some of the other competitors that maybe don't have as strong of a mental game.
Yeah. And I love that. Do you have a certain routine you follow? Is there like some daily things that you do to kind of help keep your mind sharp and strong or?
I wouldn't say I have like a super strict routine or anything. I just, I honestly try not to take the competitions too seriously until I
Okay.
like need to. So I'm not like
Oh, yeah.
waking up in the morning and dwelling on the fact that I'm going to be competing later. Like some people are like, I gotta, eat a super great breakfast and I gotta sleep until this time and then I gotta warm up for this long. And they have a really good set schedule and that works for them. But for me, I'm just more like, try to be chill until it's time to lock in for the course.
Yeah. I notice in your room there, it looks like you got a pull-up bar.
I do, yes.
Yeah. What does your physical training look like, if you don't mind sharing? I know that's a big question because you probably do a lot
Yeah.
of things, but what does that look like?
It's honestly, unfortunately, had to slow down a little bit since I started college. I just haven't been able to get into the ninja gym specifically as much, but I
Right.
usually train ninja 2 to 3 times a week, and then I strength train. Um, I try to strength train another 1 or 2 times a week, but that's also been tricky because I haven't been able to visit my personal trainer since I've been in college.
Yeah. What are you studying in college? What do you want to do?
I'm studying nursing.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Very cool. So is your plan though to continue doing the Ninja Warrior challenges and be a part of that and continue to move forward and try to continue obviously being the champion and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I want to, as long as I'm still enjoying it, I want to continue to do ninja to the best of my ability and to what my, college or what my job allows me to do, because I do enjoy it, so I want to continue with it, yeah.
Yeah. Are you in between seasons right now? I'm not sure the scheduling of that. What does that look like?
So for the actual show, I'm like technically in between seasons because the show really just films for like 2 weeks straight in like the fall. but there isn't really necessarily a season for like everything else that I do. It's just kind of year round.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I know this is also another big question, but I think it's important that we ask this is what sacrifices do you make that are behind the scenes that maybe me as a viewer and other viewers don't get to see?
Yeah. I think a big part of it, like a big part of something a lot of people don't see is like, especially when I was in high school, now that I'm in college, is that like sacrificing my training for school or vice versa, sacrificing, 2 weeks of my school year
Mm,
to go film American Ninja Warrior is like a really big, like, anxiety filled thing for me because I try to be, a good student or I try to be training as much as I can and I have to balance both of those things. And a lot of other people do as well, but also this kind of age of ninja, a lot of people that are my age either just switch to online school so they could train more,
okay.
or are homeschooled so they don't really have to sacrifice that part of their life or give up training for that part of their life, which I think is a really interesting. It makes me unique, which sounds weird. Like
Yeah.
it's unique that I went to public school and that I'm in college, but for a lot
Yeah.
of the really high up, intense ninjas, that's not the case for them.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I wouldn't have never thought of that. That you going to college is actually kind of different
Mm-hmm.
compared to what other people are doing. And
Yep.
I've had a lot of respect for that because college is not easy, obviously. And like you said, it was hard. It's hard to get your training in because you got schoolwork to do. But yet it sounds like school means a lot to you because you're willing to go through all that.
Yep.
You know, one of the things that really stood out to me about you, Taylor, is that when you won the championship to become the female champion, you were very grateful to other competitors. Like you showed so much gratitude. Can you just share with us why gratitude's so important and why you focus so much on, thanking so many people, especially some of your competitors?
Yeah. I mean, the position that I'm in, I think about a lot, is like insane. Like the
Yeah,
fact that I'm 18 and that I'm, that I've been on TV multiple times, that I've literally won like a TV show. Like I am so incredibly lucky, and there's no way that I would be able to do that without all of the people who help me and without my other competitors as well, because they're the ones who are motivating me to train and to get better because I know that that's what they're doing. And if I'm not training, then, I'm not getting better, but they are. And so that's what motivates me to continue going. And I mean, the girls that I compete against in the women's championship specifically are so incredibly strong. And I just
yeah,
feel like very grateful to have them as competitors and friends because they really do push me to continue.
yeah. When I watched you compete against Addie, and that time when you guys were going up that wall and your feet were slipping and that,
Mhm.
obviously didn't know much about you. I just saw you on TV, and I remember when I interviewed Addie, she talked about how much she respected you and how much you pushed her as well, and how much gratitude she had towards the way you treated her even after that defeat. Um, I think what impressed me the most is that you used that as a way to come back, and you came back and became the champion. You easily could have just said, "This isn't for me. I did my best," and maybe we never have would have heard of you again. But
Yeah.
yet you stuck that out. I don't know. Do you ever look back and go, "Man, I'm so glad I pushed forward"?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely have a ton of mutual respect for each other. Like, yes, it's like a friendly rivalry, but we're also like, we're friends.
Yeah,
And, I mean, losing to her that night was very hard for me, but I also knew that she was so deserving to win.
right.
And I wasn't like dwelling on the fact that she won and I didn't. It just felt like, I was focused on myself and the fact that I could have pushed harder, not the fact that, she won. I wasn't upset with her in any sort of way. And I
Right.
just felt respect towards her and I wanted to get back to that same point the next year and have a different outcome for myself. But I was so grateful that we got to, have a rematch the next year. And it was just
Yeah.
like, and obviously it was a different outcome for me, but it was just great to like go against her again because she's so
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, I remember watching that, and man, I was because I knew Addie because I had already interviewed you or
Hmm.
her, and I was sitting on the edge of my seat watching this. I was like, "What is going to happen here?" Because I
Yep.
knew it would happen the year before, and Man, I had just such mad respect for you after that. And again, you were so gracious in your victory towards so many people. And I think gratitude is uh, it's a superpower that's not talked about a lot, especially in competition.
Yeah.
And boy, you really showed that. And man, I think that to me told me you really were a true champion, is the way you expressed that gratitude.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing. There's a lot of amazing athletes that you go up against. Obviously, Addie's one of them, and there's several others, obviously. What is it like when you're getting ready to go against someone like that? What's going through your mind? Are you scared? Are you nervous? What's going on?
I definitely get nervous. I mean, it kind of depends on the situation, like what is at stake for me, but
Yeah,
I always just try my best, especially when it's that like side by side racing where I'm racing another person, like to
yeah,
just focus on myself and not like I never look over at what they're doing. I never like am like
yeah,
wondering where they are on the course. I'm focused on me. And I think that really helps because if you're worried about what the other person is doing, you're going to be more likely to make a mistake. And that's why I
yeah,
just focus on what I'm doing. And if they do better than me, then that's the way it was meant to be. Like that's the way it is, you know?
yeah.
So I can only do my best. I can't be focused on what they're doing.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Again, like I said, you can tell even just from watching you on TV how focused you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, I don't remember my runs, especially on the show, like afterwards. Like I'm like,
Really?
I like basically like black out. I do not remember like what happened. Like I know, obviously I know like the outcome,
Right.
but I can't
Yeah.
remember like the details and specifics of it or what obstacles
Yeah.
like I did. Like I'll see an obstacle in the show and I was like, have I done that? And my mom's like, yes, you've done that. And I was like, oh, good to know, I
Yeah.
guess. I just,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. And I think that's what sets you apart, Taylor. I think that's part of your gift of, yes, you're strong. Yes, you work on your mental game. You work on all these things. But I think that's one of your superpowers is the laser focus that you can do. And it makes sense that you would not remember certain things because again, once you've gotten past one obstacle, you don't even remember that. You're focused on the
exactly.
next thing. And
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what's the hardest obstacle you feel like that you go through? Like, what's the toughest one, if there is
Um,
one?
anything that has to do with like pulling up. I'm not
Yeah,
like the best at like being super powerful in like my pull strength,
yeah,
whereas like some other athletes that's is their complete strength, whereas I'm better at like laches and like flying through the air is like what I'm better at. So
yeah,
that's definitely any obstacle that kind of has that kind of where you have to be pulling really, really hard, is definitely difficult for me and something I've
yeah,
been working on.
yeah. I can imagine that. That one, I don't know what you call it, but you're holding onto a bar and you have to jump up and latch it onto the next latch.
Yeah,
And
the salmon ladder.
yes, oh
Hmm.
my goodness, I watch people do that. I'm like, how in the heck can they even do that? Especially after you've already done all these other things to make your arms tired.
Yes, that's the other thing is once you've done a whole bunch of obstacles, like you start getting that pump and then it starts to get more difficult, especially if you're doing an endurance obstacle, like that's when it gets really tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, if there's young girls listening to this episode of yours right now and, they want to maybe do what you do, they want to be a ninja warrior and they want to train and they want to do whatever, what's some of the best advice you get some of these younger girls? What could you tell them?
Yeah, I love it when like younger girls come up to me and tell me that I'm an inspiration to them because, that gives meaning to what I'm doing in the
Yeah,
sport. And it's not just, I know that it's not just for me and for me to win, but that there are people who are watching me and taking inspiration from me. And so, I just like to tell people, focus on your own game and what you're doing. Don't let other people distract you or you need to be focusing on yourself because if you're looking at what somebody else is doing, that's a different person. That's not you.
yeah.
Like you need to be doing what works for you.
Mm,
Um, yeah,
that's
just
great.
focusing on yourself.
Great advice. I'm sure you've had moments of doubt throughout your, life, obviously. And then, maybe it gets magnified sometimes doing the Ninja Warrior stuff. How do you overcome that when you're maybe even doubting yourself? And maybe what advice could you give us, if we get in that position?
Yeah, there's like been, I'd say maybe like a year or two ago where I was really disencouraged basically,
Yeah.
because in this sport, like, sorry, my dog's barking.
Okay.
Um, in this sport, like, I'm only 18, but I'm like one of the older athletes now. Like,
Mm,
this is such a young sport that, like, especially
yeah.
for females, the top of your, like, when you're like at your best, you're probably 14, 15, 16 years old,
Wow.
which is crazy. And so a couple of years
Yeah.
ago, when these younger girls started coming up and, beating me in competitions, that was hard for me to cope with because I had been on top for so long and I didn't understand, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I hadn't changed anything about my training. And I was like, how is this happening? And so that was definitely hard for me to deal with.
Yeah.
And I felt very discouraged, and I wanted to get better, but it just felt like anything I did, it didn't matter. Um, but I started just to, you know, let myself be okay with the fact that, I'm not going to be winning all the time anymore, and it's a good thing now that I have more competition, because that gives me more
Yeah.
motivation and more things to work on. And so shifting my mindset from being like, wow, like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't, I beat these girls anymore? Change to, it's a good thing that I have them because they're motivating me to get better. And it's definitely worked changing my mindset, because I've been able to train harder, and
Yeah.
now I'm back up, like, leveled with them versus when I was kind of going in and
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. It reminds me of this quote where it goes like this: you never know how strong you are until that hidden strength is forced to come out. So it's
Hmm.
almost like it forced you to like really dig deep in your soul to believe
Yeah.
in yourself, right?
Yeah, well, for a long time, like, obviously I worked hard, but a lot of it was just like my natural talent for ninja was coming out, and I didn't have to work super duper hard to
Yeah.
be on top. And my mom always told me, like, you're not going to be on top forever, Taylor. Like, you have to work hard. And I probably didn't listen to her very well.
Right.
And then, you know, these
Yeah.
younger girls started coming up and were doing so incredibly. And then, I started losing, and I realized that I actually was going to have to work even harder.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was definitely a difficult thing for me to learn.
Wow. Yeah. So when your mom gives you advice like that, is it sometimes hard to take advice from the parents sometimes?
Yes, it's definitely difficult to take advice, especially from my mom, but
Yeah.
she gives good advice most of the time, so I guess I should
Well, and
listen.
it's sometimes, like you even said, you don't realize the advice is really spot on until maybe later. And then
Yes,
you go, oh, yeah, you know
exactly.
what? Mom was actually right.
Hmm.
Right. Um, I know this is kind of a really personal question, but do you believe in like a higher power? Yeah, are you a woman of faith? Is that something that you lean on at times of struggle?
Yeah, I definitely, I'm a Christian. I definitely lean
Okay.
on, God and Jesus when I pray before my runs, and I say,
Mm,
help me through this and let me, you know, the way, and whatever happens, happens. And I think that really helps me calm my nerves and feel like this is not necessarily in my hands. I'm going to do whatever I can, but the outcome isn't necessarily up to me.
yeah. Wow. Does that help you, knowing that kind of perspective when maybe things don't turn out for you the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, obviously it's hard when you have a disappointing competition or whatever, and
Yeah.
in my mind I just think, like, what could I have done better? What could I have trained harder? Well, if I wouldn't have just made that mistake, and then I have to be like, stop. Like, sometimes this is going to happen, and that's just the way it's going to be,
Yeah.
and that's okay, because you're going to learn something from it.
Yeah. What would you tell someone who's listening to you, Taylor, that maybe struggles trying to find or connect with God or a higher power? Like, what would you tell someone, that's maybe trying to find their way in that aspect?
I would just say, don't be afraid of it. It's definitely something that I am trying to work harder towards,
Yeah.
and it's still hard for me, and it still feels scary, but, like, just being okay with praying, even, or just, like, asking for help, or going to church or anything like that, just not being afraid of it. And maybe you feel uncomfortable in it, but learning that it's okay to feel uncomfortable in those situations, and eventually you will feel more comfortable and you'll feel like the help and the calmness that you've been looking for.
Yeah. Great advice. Thank you for sharing that with us, Taylor. I think a lot of people wonder, and I know I do too, of what does your daily routine look like? Like, what does your day look like? What's a day in the life of Taylor?
I mean, obviously it differs a little bit right now because I'm
Yeah.
not in school, but if I'm in school, wake up, maybe go to the gym, go to class, and then I usually will go work, and train, because I coach, kids at our gym, and then I'll train afterwards. And then now in summer, it's kind of all over the place because we're traveling so much, and I have more competitions in the summer for sure. But yeah, just trying to stay active and
Nice.
just enjoying myself, I guess.
That's great. Do you, when you're coaching those kids, what are some of the things you've learned by coaching them?
Yeah, I love coaching kids because it definitely like gives you a different perspective. I don't know. I've definitely learned that like everybody's different and something that works for one kid might not work for another kid, and like
Yeah.
learning like just the way their bodies work differently in ninja and like what works for them has been really interesting, and just yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming that feels so, gratifying knowing you're making an influence, not only maybe helping them achieve things, but more believing in themselves, right?
Hmm.
What a gift that is, because
Yeah,
you seem like someone, Taylor, that, I mean, you have a deep belief in yourself. Is that a fair thing to assume?
sure. Yeah.
See, there's that focus right there. I see it right there, just laser. Um, do you have any heroes in your life? Are there certain books you like to read? People that you kind of look up to that kind of helps you get through things?
I mean, the people I definitely like look up to or lean on is my family and my parents.
Love that.
Like they're always going to be there for me, and I can always look at them for advice or whatever I need. And just like my training partners in my training group too, they are great and
Yeah.
can always help me if I'm saying like, hey, like I feel like I'm really lacking in this area and I need help with it. They'll always be like, okay, let's try it, let's do this, let's train this, and that can be like really helpful knowing that I have people on my side who are willing to help me get better.
Right on. Love that. So you got the summer right now. You're off school, I'm assuming, and then I'm assuming you're going to spend the summer training, right?
Yep.
When's the next event that you got coming up?
My summer is actually insane. I'm traveling for like the next 2 weeks. I leave on Sunday to go coach a camp, and then I'll actually be at the lake with my family for a vacation, and then I leave for a comp in Minnesota next weekend, which is going to
Wow.
be fun.
Yeah.
And then in July, I have not basically, it is a week-long competition in Pennsylvania. So it's
Dang.
going to be crazy.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's busy summer.
Yeah.
Busy, busy, busy. Well, I think that's amazing that you're doing all those things. If there's someone tuning into this episode right now, Taylor, and they're struggling and they're in a dark place and they're not sure what to do in life, and they, may even have thoughts of not wanting to be here, what would you tell that person right now?
I think I would tell them that it's so important to have other people to lean on and to trust in other people, even though it could be scary to share that part of their life with those people. But if you have someone or just, family, friends, like significant other, whatever, someone that you know that you can trust and lean on, it's so important to use those people to get you help. And, maybe that's external help, or maybe just them being there for you and knowing what you're going through can be exactly what you need as well.
Yeah, well said. Thank you. Because I know there are people that tune into this podcast for that very reason, because they're struggling. And obviously you're someone that they can look up to. I look up to you. I think what you do is amazing. And I love the way you carry yourself. Like I said, when I saw the way you reacted when you lost, and then when I saw the way you reacted when you won the championship, it was almost like the same response. And I was just like, who is this girl, man? And so I'm grateful for NBC Sports that directed me towards you. And thank you for your time and with me today and being willing to share some really powerful insights for my listeners. If someone wants to follow you, Taylor, and learn more about what you do and follow your journey with Ninja Warrior and other things that you're doing, what would be the best way for them to do that?
My tag on all my social media is Sweet Ninja Girl. That's just the like Instagram name my mom gave me when she made an Instagram for me when I was like 12, and that's
I wondered where that name came from.
My mother. I don't know.
I love it. So that's the best way for them to just go check it out on Sweet Ninja Girl. Okay.
Yep.
Love that. Well, I'll put a link to that on the show notes when we get there. I want to thank you for taking some time with me today. I know you're a busy girl. Obviously, you just spelled that out. But again, I want you to know that I admire the way you live your life. I think you're a great role model. Not that you're trying to be. I don't say that to put pressure on you. I just say that because I think people just look at you and go, man, I need to be more like her, someone who believes in herself. And at the same time, very grateful for the people that have helped her get there. And so again, I have much respect for you, Taylor.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Well, there you go, folks. Taylor Greene, American Ninja Warrior. She's a champion on the Ninja Warrior course, but she's more of a champion off the course. The way she treats people, coaching kids, leaning on her faith, leaning on her family, like she said, someone we can all look up to. If you have a loved one, a son or a daughter that might be struggling, send them a link to this episode so they can listen to Taylor's words. They can start following her and be inspired by what she's doing. And who knows, man, maybe they'll start doing what she's doing with, become a Ninja Warrior. But thank you for tuning in. Thanks for my sponsors again. Thank you so much for believing in me. And Taylor, one last thank you to you. Stick around because I got to ask you a couple questions once I hit stop. But thank you for being here, Taylor. You're amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You bet.